Tonight on Evening, we've got a special Halloween show for you. Get scared with the best monster movies ever made. Hear Vincent Price tell his chilling tales of the macabre. Meet the Good Witch of Salem, Massachusetts, and go behind the scenes of a Baltimore haunted house with our For Kids' Sake reporter, Jason. Now, here are Steve and Donna.
Tonight we feel the spirit of Halloween at the Middle River Volunteer Ambulance and Rescue Company's haunted house, where they're scaring us to death.
Oh my gosh, Donna! Oh God! That's just a taste of things to come tonight on Evening Magazine. And in our first story, appropriately, it's the day before Halloween, we're going to take a survey of some of the scariest movies ever made.
Look at me, Damien.
I am Dracula.
Home video has made some of Hollywood's greatest horror movies available to everyone at a reasonable price. What better time to watch one of these classics than on Halloween? I went down to the Hollywood Wax Museum to meet and greet some of my favorite horrible creatures in person. Hello, I'm Stanley Ralph Ross. This, in case you hadn't recognized him, is the late, great Bela Lugosi. Star of perhaps the most frightening, eerie film ever made. And it was frightening and it was eerie because he was a gentleman. He wasn't a slasher. He wasn't running around grabbing people. He would just invite them into his house and bite their necks. This is my half-brother, Richard. He lives in my chest, in much the same way the creature lived in the chest of John Hurt in Alien. This is one of those rare cases where Aliens, the sequel, was far superior to the original.
Get away from her, you...
The part of Ripley in Alien and Aliens was originally written for men, so we're told, but they cast it with Sigourney Weaver, who was taller than most male actors, as a matter of fact, and she did the part justice because she was the best fighter in both movies and a dynamic force and surely the most intelligent person in both pictures. I think that by casting a woman in a lead like that, the producers made a very wise choice. Even with modern classics like Aliens, we're still drawn to the old vintage films like The Mummy and The Wolfman and Frankenstein. In The Bride of Frankenstein, Elsa Lanchester plays two roles, Mary Shelley, who created the monster, and Frankenstein's bride. When they meet, it's love at first sight. The Omen was truly hair-raising because the villain was a little child with the powers of the devil. It's ironic that Bela Lugosi, who starred in one of the greatest films ever made in the horror genre, also starred in one of the worst films ever made in that genre, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Edward Wood Jr., the man who wrote and directed Plan 9 from Outer Space, is acknowledged to be the worst director who ever made several films. However, I would tell you, if you're in the right mood, if you're laughing, if you want to have a good time, watch Plan 9 from Outer Space and say it's a hoot rather than a real attempt at a horror movie.
That was too close.
Freddy is the star of Nightmare on Elm Street, one of the least gory of the slasher movies. That's because director-writer Wes Craven concentrated on bad dreams and things that go "Ah!" in the night. All of these frightening, terrifying films are available on video cassette. Rent one today so you can watch it on Halloween evening. Rent one if you know what's bad for you.
Oh, gosh. Here's another little behind-the-scenes trivia for you. Did you know that Boris Karloff actually wore 10-pound weights in his shoes to give him that special Frankenstein look? Oh, gosh, whoa.
Next, the master of the macabre, Vincent Price.
Fright Night continues with one of the scariest villains to ever appear on the silver screen. Vincent Price has starred in so many horror movies like The City of Banshee and The House of Wax, but he's the master of the macabre and the mysteries of football. Strange but true.
It's much more fun to play the villain than the hero. The hero's usually so dull. The villain always has lots of things he can do. He can fool you, too.
Not you, my Marie Antoinette, for I will give you eternal life.
Revenge is the definite big motive of the villain. You know, the villain is not a guy who turns the other cheek. Why do I sound British? Because I'm a fake. Because I'm an actor, and my job is to sound the way people want me to sound.
If anyone is the Mr. Thriller of Hollywood, it has to be 76-year-old Vincent Price, the most recognizable horror picture villain in the world today. And a nice guy to boot. Vincent was already an accomplished stage and movie actor in 1950 when he decided to try something different, the starring role in House of Wax. The rest is blood-curdling cinematic history. So who better to chat with on this Halloween Eve? Just like any other pint-sized ghoul, Mr. Price says he trick-or-treated as a kid, and he admits that sometimes the tricks got a little rough.
We were really kind of stupid and dangerous when we were kids. We used to soap the tracks of the little trolley car that ran by our house in the country in Missouri. And it caused a lot of damage a couple of times. And then one time we got a cop to shoot his foot, which I liked a lot.
Shoot himself? How did that happen?
Well, we just yelled at him, and he was shooting off, you know, the gun, trying to scare the kids, and we yelled at him. He said, "I'll get you," and shot his own foot. That pleased me very much.
And what does Halloween mean to such an experienced movie villain?
Work. Well, our next strange...
Yes, sir. Only this Halloween, you won't find him haunting some graveyard. Instead, Vincent will be looking at the scary side of, are you ready? Football, in a television special called Strange But True Football Stories. He says he had to keep his own passion for the game a secret from the show's producers.
I love the idea of them casting me in it because I am absolutely the opposite end of the stick as far as people think. I happen to be a great ball fan, so there is a little of that, but I didn't tell them that, you see, because they might find out. But I just think it's such a wonderful idea for me to tell people about all the strange things that can happen in football.
Vincent is not so high on some of the other television shows on the air today. He says the cars are more exciting than the people.
I watched a television show the other day. It had 3 car chases and no actors. It was lovely. Just started with a car chase and it ended with a car chase, and you couldn't care less who was killed, who won, who did anything. It's the best show I've seen in years.
All right, all kidding aside, what does excite the master of mayhem? Ghosts? Does he even believe in them?
Yes, of course. Everybody on this set is a ghost. These people pretend they're real, but they aren't. They're all ghosts. Look around, they're all going to disappear in just a minute.
For days I argued with this fella before I could get him to pose the way I wanted him to.
You mean he'd talk back to you?
Of course. It's not easy to shut an actor's mouth.
The foulest stench is in the air.
So, on the eve of the scariest night of the year, the man who has done more than any other to keep you awake at night has a special message for you.
It's Happy Halloween. It serves you right. You deserve it.
Vincent Price's Strange But True Football Stories is now available on video cassette. Good night.
No, but I must stay awake.
Yes?
Stay tuned. We've got the Good Witch of Salem next.
You ever have one of those days where you thought you just shouldn't have gotten up in the morning? Yeah, that's just how I feel sometimes. Well, right now we're going to be a woman who says she can take care of all that. She's not a ghost, she's not a goblin, she's a witch. A good witch. the Good Witch of the North.
We have a standard line. People sometimes, when they don't know what to say to a witch, they'll say, turn me into a toad. And we look at them and say, well, it looks like someone beat me to it.
Laurie Cabot needs a sense of humor. As the official Witch of Salem, Massachusetts, her black-robed figure is a familiar one to residents and tourists alike. In a city notorious for 17th century witchcraft hysteria, Laurie is open about her dedication to this ancient art, science, and religion.
Hi, how are you today? Nice to see you today. I chose to be public because we've been hidden since the burning times. 9 million people were burned, hanged, and tortured under the wrong definition of witch. And so we chose secrecy, and I think it was wrong. It left a gray area where people could say anything they wanted to say about us, and that's led us to where we are now.
The hit movie The Witches of Eastwick is a fantasy about 3 modern-day witches and a devil played by Jack Nicholson. During its filming in Cohasset, Massachusetts, Laurie led a protest against the movie as unfair to witches.
Who should we be looking for? Somebody nice, somebody you could like?
They don't really use the word witch, and I'm glad that they didn't use the word witch during that movie. However, it's still in the title, and so that's not good enough. It still portrays them doing things that are wrong with their psychic abilities. Things that witches would never do. It's very sad for witches that people confuse us with Satan worshippers. We're pre-Christian. We don't have a Satan, and we don't have a devil, and we don't believe in evil gods. Witches meet in groups to do their magic, and it's usually on every new moon and full moon. And we call them covens, and it's either 3 to 13 people, and they get together like a community.
Some magic, however, is done at home alone.
Heal. I ask that this be granted in correctness and for the good of all, so mote it be. I have an altar in my house because it's a place of high energy and concentration, and it is charged with all the different tools and energies that we need to meditate or to do our spells. And it's a place where I can keep all my tools. I can keep my candles, my incense burner, my crystals, my wand. It's a very important focus in a witch's home. A spell is a projected thought, but it is a thought that will come to be to some degree or another. Some people may project to have something they really want. And most people are concerned, of course, with money and love. And it seems to be foremost on everyone's mind. They're not worried about balancing with the universe. They're worried about their lover or the cash in their hand.
If all of this sounds intriguing, you might want to visit a very unusual boutique, Crow Haven Corner.
I opened a store in Salem, and my daughter Jody now runs it because it's sort of a witch's supermarket. It's a place where you can get herbs and candles and oils to mix potions and all your amulets and charms and a lot of information, too, about what witchcraft is. It helps the public who comes to Salem, and they look for a witch, and they don't really know what to look for. And they walk into the store, and they learn a lot. Dragon's blood is a resin, and it comes from a reed from Malaysia. And it's powdered and put into an incense. And it's the oldest known resin used in love spells, and it works quite well. I would like to see witches accepted just as much as any other major religion. That's been my life's goal, to make room for us in the earth so that we can practice and be neighbors and be open about what we do. I think that communication will lend us a space in our community.
Lori Cabot says that there are 6 million witches, good and bad, in the United States, and about 2,000 of them live in the Salem area. She also claims to work intimately with a brokerage firm on Wall Street and is able to predict stock trends. I wonder how effective she was the past couple of weeks. How you doing down there? Yeah, don't smile. Don't you let me make you smile now. Remember, this is a haunted house.
Coming up, we'll go inside a haunted house with Jason.
Neat. Sweet.
Other than trick-or-treating, I don't think there's any better way to celebrate Halloween than a truly horrifying haunted house, which is exactly what Jason Weiner's up to tonight with a couple of his friends.
Goblins and ghosts, come forth if you dare. My friends and I are not easy to scare. Welcome to my nightmare. A scream and a cry lead me to a dark room where old Dr. Frankenstein plots death and doom. The object of menace, my pal Dennis, and another, my brother. A narrow escape, but oh, what awaits.
I'm glad the meat's really nice and fresh for our customers.
It just came in the day.
Oh, it's nice and bloody.
A butcher shop and a fatal chop. I've had enough of blood and gore. The crazies chase and scream for more. We find ourselves within a maze. We're trapped like rats. With fear, we're crazed. Oh, goblins and ghosts, don't you see? We have to get out. This is TV. At last, a door. Run fast, my friends. And this is where the nightmare ends.
Ooh. Now that haunted house was put on by the Townsend JCs. There are haunted houses all over the city, but it would be hard to beat the one put on by Middle River Rescue here.
It's hard to imagine anything being more scary than this place right here. They're going to continue with their haunted house tonight until 11 o'clock. Tomorrow night from 7 to 11 only costs $3 to get in the door, but chances are you're going to be wanting to pay them money to get out early. It is scary.
They do request that you don't bring small children because it's very intense.
You can have small kids watch our show next week because we're going to Hawaii. And on Monday night, we have a special called Hawaii to the Max.
Next week on Evening, we're off to Hawaii. Monday is extra special as we devote an entire half hour to the islands in a program called Hawaii to the Max. Steve and Donna take on every adventure we could find, from skydiving and scuba diving to taming the wild bikini. Then we'll continue our trip all week long as we bring you special stories about real people and real adventures in Hawaii. Hear the story of a native fisherman who nearly lost his battle with a great white shark. Experience the terror of living near an active volcano as we take you inside Kilauea with a photographer who risks it all. Go on an airborne pot bust with the men from the Chopper Patrol. And we've got plenty of action on the mainland as well, including Christy Brinkley, Liz Taylor, and Judd Nelson. It's a week you won't want to miss.
Some spectacular shows next week. Join us Monday in the Aloha State.
Truly one of the most exciting trips we have ever planned. We'll see you on Monday. In the meantime,
Happy Halloween!
1988 Fords for a special 88 sales event. Let me show you. You'll save on America's best-selling cars and trucks. Save on 88 Tauruses. Save on F-Series trucks. Best-selling vehicles in the world. Save on Escorts, Rangers, and Bronco 2s. But hurry to your Ford dealer now, because this 88 sales event ends soon. Hey, be careful.
We are gathered here today.
You'd expect this Panasonic Omnimovie camcorder to shoot in daylight.
If anyone believes this couple should not be married, let him speak now.
You might expect this Panasonic camcorder to shoot in room light.
Let him speak now.
But what you don't expect is that it can shoot by the light of one candle, and it's VHS.
Let him speak now.
Camcorders that do the unexpected make Panasonic just slightly ahead of our time.
Nothing lives here but classics. Classics of workmanship, of quality, of performance. This GMC truck moves at 73% galvanized steel body in a way that lets anyone know it's not just a truck anymore. Sierra, with independent front suspension, a rear wheel anti-lock braking system, and electronic fuel injection. Plus, by choosing the performance value package, you can save $522. Sierra by GMC Truck, a classic value.
Tony's newest contender, Monday at 5:30.